Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development is the community's economic development organization. BSED's mission is to sustain and grow our region's vibrant economy and outstanding quality of life by providing leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, workforce development, and community development. Learn more and connect with BSED at bigskyeconomicdevelopment.org.
At that time, it was very looked down on. You can never have a career in art unless you're going to be a teacher. You're not going to make it as an artist. I love art and I want to do art. I owed it to myself and my kids to at least just try and make this a real business.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Joining us today on The Vault is Jen Rahr with Deer Creek Designs. Welcome, Jen. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. We work with you a lot, I feel like, on random things here and there.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're excited. So we like to start each episode for our listeners to just, and for us to get to know our guest a little bit more. So we like to kind of start like, where'd you grow up? What was that like?
Okay.
Yeah.
Start
we
on
like details.
the beginning.
All right. I grew up in Glendive, which if you're familiar with Montana, you might know where it's at. If you're not, it's basically North Dakota. It's very close. Most of my family is actually from North Dakota or Minnesota, and I grew up in Glendive. Just my immediate family lived there. And small town girl, small town world until college. Then I went to Bozeman. I was on a full ride scholarship for the first 2 years. I graduated valedictorian.
Wow.
And so at that time they had scholarships for full rides if you went to a Montana school. And I started in architecture.
Oh, wow.
Realized pretty quickly that it wasn't exactly what I liked. It was a little tighter than what kind of sparked my interest. So I moved pretty quickly over into graphic design, and I really, really liked that. And I got to do a lot more art classes and things like that. I ended up moving to Dickinson after my second year of college, and I graduated from Dickinson. I moved into a full-time art degree then, and I had a minor in graphic design. I graduated in 2006 from college and moved back to Glendive. And I got married, had kids, actually started my career as a secretary at a telephone co-op there. And
Mid-Rivers?
Yep.
Okay.
Mid-Rivers Telephone Co-op. Or communications, I guess, is their other
it's like new
name.
now, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I started as a secretary, but moved eventually into doing some of the design work for their publication that would go out. And then they started videotaping different area events. And now it's pretty big. Like now that we have, is it NFHS, where they play the games on TV?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I think.
okay. High School Association does
yeah.
some of those. And so we started doing that in just like our communities that we served and stuff. And so I moved into that department and I did video editing and videoing. And so then I moved into the marketing video production department for a while. And then I ended up staying home after I had my son. I went back for a little bit and then ended up staying home full time with him. And I've done freelance since college, design projects here and there. After my daughter was born, I was still doing freelance, but also staying home. And my divorce started in about 2014. My daughter was about 2. And that's when I moved full-time into having my own business. And because I had kind of a choice of I could get a job here in Glendive, make minimum wage, and basically pay out my entire paycheck to daycare. Or I could try to make a go of this business, be home with my kids at the same time, and maybe make about the same amount of money. So I chose that route and really happy that I did.
Yeah.
because it is now my full time. And I moved to Billings with my kids in late 2016, and we've been here since, and just keep growing Deer Creek Design from that point.
So tell us a little bit about like figuring out, like getting those freelance jobs. Like what were you doing as you were, staying at home with the kids? Like what was that like, getting some of those freelance positions, and then knowing like what were those steps as you started to create your company and your business?
Okay. So everyone's always called me artsy fartsy, whatever. I've always been known
quoting
for
that artsy fartsy.
So I would get asked, a lot. So I would do random things, not charging anybody for things like wedding banners. And I used to hand paint them. Actually, when I was in high school, one of my jobs that I had when I was in high school was painting the 4x8 signs at the baseball field.
Oh, wow.
And I would hand paint those. Now I make them, on my vinyl cutter and printer, and it's a lot faster. Like one of the signs probably would take me a month
Your
and a half.
hands don't cramp anymore.
And they are a lot sharper.
But like probably like the calligraphy, like you were the person that everyone came to in school for, like all of those things.
Yeah. So like high school graduation announcements, we write people's addresses on my cards and stuff like that, or put pictures together on a collage or random things like that. So I started doing a lot of it for free, and a lot were friends or family and whatever. And then people were like, you should really charge for this. I don't know what to charge. I would have no idea how to do that. And then I don't know, I guess I just kind of tried to figure out, probably undercharging, in the beginning. I still have charge guilt, if that's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, you just kind of figure out over time, like it was also hard for me because I could do a lot of the things. And so it was like, well, this is not that hard. And so I can't charge like, a lot of money for this or any money for this. It's really not that hard to do, but it's hard to step out of a position where I know how to do those things and I know how to put those pieces together, and my brain works that way. But some people don't, and so they are willing to pay for some of those things. So
you have to value your time.
Yep.
So you said you had a moment where you were going to be an architect. I think that's really interesting because it is a form of design. So as you were going through one, what led you to go, I'm going to be an architect? And then what was that moment you were like, I like design, but I don't like this kind of design?
Sure. So I was really good at math. I was smart and good at school, but really liked math. I loved like being able to figure out an answer, and that there was an answer. It wasn't this, which is completely opposite of art, right? So I felt, and my dad was really pushing me to be an engineer because at the time there wasn't a lot of women in engineering. Yeah. He was an engineer, and he's like, you should do engineering. You'd be really good at it. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. I don't want to do that.
There's a particular type of person that makes a really good engineer.
Yeah.
And it's a great, like, they're all wonderful. My grandpa was an engineer. Like, they're wonderful. But you have a lot of energy.
So I was like, okay, well, I love art and I want to do art. And then I still really feel like at that time it was very looked down on, or you can never have a career in art unless you're going to be a teacher or something like that. You're not going to make it as an artist. So I'm like, how can I put the two of those together? And so architecture to me was like, it's like a math artist, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to build buildings, and there's math involved in that, and structure and whatever. And so it was a good marriage of the two. I knew I wanted to go to Bozeman. That was always, in my sights. I wanted to go there. Bozeman's a great architecture school. Like they're well known for that. And so that's kind of what I set my sights on, was starting in architecture. And I did well. I liked the classes. I liked some of the projects, but we would tour, the older classmen workspace and all of those. Like once you get to the graduate area, you have your own like cubicle and your projects. So we could see like the future of what we were going to be doing. And what I really was finding is that I liked the old architecture, the artsy stuff that we just don't really bring into play so much anymore. And I also like never saw myself really out, in a huge place where maybe the funds to do some of that are there. And so I was like, that's where I said, like, it's just not free enough. It's not loose enough. And so then I'm like, well, what's my next step? Because I'm probably not going to be like a famous painter. Let's just be real. And
You're over there about to cut your ear off,
Yeah.
you know?
So then I was like, well, graphic design sounds interesting. And I already kind of did some of those things for different things. So I was like, let's see what that is like. And so I moved into that, but then I got to do some more of the art classes and whatever. And I had one professor, he was a ceramics professor, which I loved ceramics and I wish I could be good at it, but I never ever
Oh my
was.
God.
Yeah.
I took one class. I think I've told Kayla this story and I'm like, I've took one class and I could do the freehand, but the wheel thing,
Yep.
no, not for
I
me.
didn't keep one project from the wheel ever.
I'm
Like they all went right back into the clay pile.
Oh no, I totally made them
'Cause you
fire
did,
mine.
right, yeah.
I did a couple years of it and I still was not great at it. Like my bases were always so thick that my teacher was like, if this blows up the kiln, I'm going to be so upset with you. I was like, don't worry. I wedged it enough. It's good. It's good. But then I'd always have like really sharp edges because you know how you have to like make your edge at the bottom. So you could either like kill them with the weight of it or slice their throat with how sharp I made the bottoms. He was like, I have no idea how you do these things.
The ones that
It's
are really
hard.
good at are the ones that are like, you make the clay basically liquid and you pour them in the plaster mold.
Oh, yeah.
I can rock those.
I never did that. I never got to do that one.
That's
but
where you get like your little owls and your, you know, all those
cute.
little figurines. And
So
so
you don't actually have to make it.
I made like a
squirt in the
log
mold.
once and it was cool, but it was like freehand and it just kind of happened. But
I made a fish in 7th grade. That was probably my best ceramic piece ever. The second best, I made this pot that was like this big and it was built out of like these thick slabs. And he was like, same thing, like, I hope to God this doesn't explode because this is so cool because it was so thick and so heavy. There was a air pocket somewhere and it blew out the side. And he's like, we're going to fix this. And yeah, he would always be like, by the end of your 4th year, I guarantee you're going to be an art major. And I never did get to like go back and tell him like, you were right. I ended up an art major. Yeah.
you knew.
Yeah. He's like, you don't belong anywhere but in the art department.
oh, that's awesome. He saw you for your raw talent and pushed you towards that.
And I just loved the art world, the art classes so much more. People would be like, when they would talk to me and whatever and have a conversation, oh, what's your major? I'm in art and graphic design. Oh, you're one of those. I'm like,
I know
no,
there's such
I'm
a
not,
stigma
though.
to it for some reason.
I'm not like way out there or anything, but like, I just feel like that community was so much more like open and welcoming to any, you know, obscurity or.
You're like, oh, you're an engineer. Well, you're one of those. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, what's your degree? I could probably say the same about you.
Right? Isn't that funny? Like how people kind of do that. But graphic design, I feel like now, I mean, then in the early 2000s, it was probably like more up and coming, right?
Yeah,
I would
guess. It was a real
guess.
interesting conversation that I had to have with my parents. I was so scared. And I had like bullet points and backup documentation. Like, this
Had
is
your
an
little
actual
slideshow
thing.
and
Yeah.
excuse me, Mom, Dad, I just need a minute of your time.
My PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, it was scary and whatever to tell them. And then I don't know. I think my dad especially had his reservations of, oh, I don't know. And now my dad is like, man, you were so right. You were so
You're
right.
ahead of the curve, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
like, as that was
look at what you've done and what you're doing now. Like, you were so right. And I'm like, thank God.
you're like, yes, Dad.
God.
Thank you so much. So what led you to move? So you're in Bozeman architecture and then you switched, like Kayla was mentioning and you mentioned, then what led to Dickinson?
A boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
So I
okay.
started dating my ex-husband I knew him. He was also from Glendive. I knew him then late high school. We started dating in college and then he moved back to Glendive after he graduated with guess what kind of degree?
An engineering degree. That's why you giggled so much because you know.
So he moved back to Glendive after graduation. And so I moved back there to be closer. Also, my parents lived in Bismarck. So I was much closer to all family. But that was, you know, the leading reason. I think at that point in life, I was, you know, I wanted the degree and I wanted all that. And I loved school. Like I would still go to school if I could afford it. I loved classes. I loved learning. I still love learning, but I totally lost my train of thought.
Coming back to Dickinson. Yeah. Just the point in your life.
More focused on like what I wanted personally at that point in life. Like I wanted a family. I wanted to be married. I knew that life, and that was appealing. Like I knew what it was like to grow up as a kid of an engineer family. Like I could play out life for myself. And so that was what was super appealing at that time. It wasn't really about, I wasn't focused on any type of career or anything like that. It was that I had those personal goals more in mind at that time.
How far was Glendive to Dickinson?
110 miles.
Okay.
So just
did you
around an hour.
To college then, or did you live in Dickinson?
I lived there. Okay. Not in the summers, but I lived in Dickinson. I lived in an apartment my first year. And the last year of school, I was like, so just focused on get done. I want my degree. I'm going to get done. I'm going to live in the dorms. And like my first year, that was like the complete opposite. I'm like, I really don't want to live in the dorms. But yeah, my last year, the shift had completely went the polar opposite. And I'm like, I'm going to live in the dorms. I'm going to live in the dorm right next to the food place. I'm going to, stay on campus and get my stuff done. And then I'm going to go back to Glendive on the weekends. Like it's all about school done. There was no playtime. No more college fun. I was ready to like.
You might be one of the only people who have ever been like, I'm going back to the dorms.
Because they're an experience.
I'm pretty sure I was.
I don't think I've ever heard that before because the dorms are an experience.
Yeah. And then totally different when you're a freshman.
Yeah.
And a senior. Yeah. Like it's definitely not like the typical senior scene. But I wasn't there for that. I was there for the school and to get done. So it worked out good.
Do you feel like your Montana roots growing up in a really rural community like helped shape your like artistic talents?
Yeah. I mean, in Glendive specifically, there isn't a whole lot to do, right? And I wasn't in agriculture family. My dad was an engineer. My mom worked at like a bank or an accounting firm and then stayed home for a lot of the time. When I was growing up, dance, I was big into dance. That was kind of my sport. And you had your friends. We had the river there, but at that point, like nobody touched the river. The river was dangerous. There's a lot more jet boats and things like that people get to play on the river now. We had Makoshka, so there wasn't really a lot of things that you could do. And I just loved art and painting and creating from the time that I was very little. Crafts, art, painting, whatever I could do. I just loved all of that. And so I think that became my thing.
Nice.
And that was like,
Then you were out there fun. Painting signs at the baseball field.
Yep.
They were like, this girl, she can paint.
Yeah.
She's talented.
That's her. So tell us a little bit about then getting back to you creating your own business. Like, where did the name come from? And that's a big decision to make and weigh, as you were talking about. So you talked about like, do I just do this job and pay the daycare, or do I really take the leap and do the entrepreneur thing?
Do I believe in myself?
Yeah. So the name was in college. I had to come. I really think that's when I did it, but it was towards the end because I know I was in Dickinson. I remember like playing around with names. The first one I really was I never wanted anything with my name. That bugged a lot of people. They're like, why would you not want that? And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want it because I'm me and my design and my work is something separate from me. And I always wanted that distinction. Don't really know where that came from. So like the first name that I ever came up with and, kind of went by for, I don't even know how long, a couple months or something, was iDesign, but it was like a lowercase I and then a capital D. This was before Apple was
like
big.
iPhone.
Like the first time I'd ever really seen an Apple computer was in the computer lab in Bozeman in the graphic design classes. Like,
was that when they were like colorful and they had
Yes.
the huge backs?
Yep.
Ooh,
Yep, exactly.
okay.
Yeah. So, and then but then it kind of like had started. It had started like that's when iPod came out and stuff like that. It was it was
my first
close,
iPod.
Yeah. So then I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then where I lived in Glendive was on Deer Creek. Deer Creek.
Yeah.
I'm a creek person.
I feel like it more depends on whether you're talking about the body of water or, like the area down by the creek. but that's the creek that runs through there.
But down by the creek.
I've never heard it.
Yeah,
That kind of makes sense.
I did. Yeah. I don't really
I'm going to
think
steal
it's,
that now.
yeah, it's like a or
I
real thing, but it's what I have made up. Yeah.
I
like
relate
it.
to that. Yeah.
And then depending on how fast you say it, Deer Creek Design when I'm like being slow and explaining it, or it's Deer Creek Design. All kind of runs together. But so that's where we lived, was on Deer Creek, and we had Custer's Lookout, which is kind of like a plateau thing right there too. And so my first logo had both of those things like incorporated into the logo. Like Custer's Lookout was above, and then the creek would run through, and that was the S in design. So that was and I thought about changing the name, after my divorce, after I moved away from there, but I was established enough at that point that I'm like, I really don't think I can
I love
get
your
rid
name.
of it. Yeah. And so now I actually have, after I moved here, I have an LLC on top of Deer Creek Design. So Deer Creek Design is just my DBA now, but my LLC is Wishflower LLC, because I always have had an obsession with what I call the wishflower, which is the white dandelions that you blow. And so you have all these wishes.
And that's a
whatever,
fun
so
logo
Wishflower.
too.
Yeah.
I do love it because, it kind of like willowing away. I like
Blows
it.
in the wind.
Yep. So I pulled that. My new Deer Creek Design logo is, I love old letterpress, the posters and stuff like that with the letterpress letters, where they had to like actually take each block of letters and pile them together and then print a poster from that. So I use kind of a type that looks like that and it's just DCD. And then I have the wishflower on the end, and then it's just my handwriting in the bottom that says Deer Creek Design Studio. So
It's I love, every time I like look up your website to send somebody, like refer somebody over, I'm like, such a good logo.
And I love the meaning behind it too, just to hear that. I hadn't heard that. I don't know if you've heard that before, but just to hear that, and then the wish flower. So talk to us a little bit about the creation of that.
Of the wishflower itself.
And just like putting that on the top as the top LLC.
Okay. So I guess where you talked about deciding to, make a go of my own business and stuff like that. Like I knew that's what I really loved to do. And I feel like you don't put your heart and soul into something that you don't love. And so I knew I could put my heart and soul and like really at least make a go of it and try. That I owed it to myself and my kids really to at least just try and make this a real business. And so I kind of like view that as like throwing wishes out into the world and just hoping that one of them lands, somewhere that it can plant itself and actually grow into a field of wish flowers. So that was kind of, it does kind of tie in.
Good.
Like I didn't really think about that at the time, but when like retrospectively looking back at all of those things and all of those pieces, like it really does encompass kind of that, like, this is me just giving it a go.
I really love that.
I love that. The one's gonna grow.
Yeah.
One's gonna find a spot.
Yeah. You have all of these wishes and all of these things that you can put out into the world, and you really just need one to take hold.
So you started this business in Glendive.
Yep.
Where I'm assuming the market was a little smaller.
Yeah.
And then now you've moved it to Billings. How has that shaped your business? Like what are the changes that you saw? Are you taking on larger projects?
Well, that was definitely a huge leap in and of itself. Like when I moved here, I knew maybe one person, and she was also from Glendive, and she wasn't in a field that was really going to, help my business grow. So I was obsessed with meeting people. So that's kind of where I started. Like, I'm just going to meet people. And so I did all kinds of networking things, which is how I ended up here.
Yeah.
Yep. So I took the next level course, and I went to the young professional things and all of those. And I would just meet people here and there, and really like the people that, I would kind of like latch onto and whatever are other small business people that I'm like, I could help you and you could help me, and we could, build our own things separately, but we could help each other do it. And so that's kind of how I grew from here. I never like did any advertising here or any purchasing of ads or anything like that. It's strictly been word of mouth, and I just kind of add projects here and there. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's a whole heck of a lot more there's a lot of small business in Glendive for sure. And I still do a lot of work there. I still go back there and do a lot of work there. for different friends, for people that I haven't actually met until I've worked for them and stuff too. But here, yeah, the pool is a lot bigger, but I still find those like small business people, and a lot from Eastern Montana too, that have, transplanted here and stuff like that. And it's fun to watch their businesses go from tiny nothing to bigger and all that kind of stuff too. So yeah, it was definitely like, it felt like going backwards in a way. Like I had just like, started doing a lot of work there, and then I'm going to move here and I'm going to know nobody. Like I'm not going to have any work. And so it's scary in and of its own, but I still had, work there, and I would have to, the kids would go back and forth, to see their dad. So there was still a lot of times when I would go back and do a lot of work in Glendive and then come back with them after the weekend was done. So, and it's just, it just continues to grow from there.
That's awesome. Well, one thing that you have said is that you work a lot with small businesses, and a part of your business in the graphic design is you like to help people with their branding. What would you say is some of the things that small business owners lack when they're starting their brand?
I think that a lot of people don't focus on the detail things. Like some of the details really matter. And so they're like worried about, well, I'm going to need this sign here and I'm going to need this over here. And it's like, well, let's back up. Like, what's your logo? And they're like, I don't know. Can't you just do one? I'm like, well, it's a pretty important piece of your business. Like it's what you're going to use from here on out going forward. Like you really don't want to start with something just thrown together and then do like 3 years. You're like, I really wish we would have spent some time on that.
Yeah. Because it's so really hard to rebrand because you've built that clientele under that one brand.
Yeah. It's just expensive. Like where I was at, where do I change my name now or do I not? Because like if people know this, and are they going to be able to find me if I do change my name and stuff like that? But yeah, that recognition, if you can start with a solid base and move out from there, I think that is what really helps grow that recognition, that solid foundation.
So you help businesses with their logos. And so can you talk to us about the process that you sit down and like help them build out a logo? And then do you at times have to level with them and go, I don't think this logo actually speaks to what your business actually does?
I haven't found that I've had to do that too much. More people, when I would first start, I would do logos, and then there was a period where I'm like, I really hate this. Because it actually is a lot that goes into it, a lot of research, a lot of thought, and you basically like have to become someone else to put that into a visual. You have to understand their business, their personality, because really that is actually part of the business. And so a lot of times I would have people be like, oh, you're the professional, you know what's good. This is my business name. Come up with something. And then, so I did that for a while and it worked for a while. And then what I was finding is that I would do that and present them with a few options. And then they'd be like, well, I was really thinking this and that and this. And I'm like, but I asked you in the beginning and you said you didn't know, like you had no idea. But so then I was like, people do know or have somewhat of an idea, but they don't want to tell you that they know because they don't want to, you're the professional, you know what you're doing.
Oh.
And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to have to figure out how to like pull that information out of them. And then it's also like, tell me about you, tell me about yourself. Like, how hard are those questions? Mm-hmm. They seem straightforward and easy. Yeah. And so I actually developed a questionnaire that is super out there. And so I ask questions and people look at it and they're like, what? I have to answer what questions?
You're like, yes, you do.
Yeah. Some of them are basic, like, what's your business name? What's the mission of your business? Like, what kind of fonts do you like? What kind of colors speak to you and your business? But then there's questions like, if your business is a celebrity, where would they hang out?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Like the persona of your brand.
Yeah. And I'm like, the real key of these answers is in the why. Why that person? Why that celebrity? Why did you use that as an answer? And there's, if your business was a car, what kind of car would it be? And the answers are super interesting. And I've had a lot of people come back and be like, this really helped me in other areas of the business to identify. They're like, these questions were so weird, but it really like helped me see, maybe these are the people that I need to like target or this is really not interesting to me at all. And I don't want this part of my business at all. And it's just like this abstract world, but it also gives me a picture of their personality or the business personality and both together, and helps me kind of move forward into creating an actual visual from that.
And you not only create, and I want to get into like some of the projects you do and you work on a day-to-day, you don't just create it, you print it and you do it, right? For some of it, because you've done it for Big Sky. I've had you do personal things, like you did my wedding signage, and you didn't just design it, but I like gave you my ideas and then you put it and you print it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if print is the right word, but produce it. Yeah. Print it.
It's both, like digital and print media, right?
Yep. So that started because of living in Glendive, and there wasn't, options for signs and whatever.
And wraps
there's only a couple places that do any of that kind of thing. And so that was kind of out of necessity of the one place that we did have, or I tried to use, or I would try to use like online places and bring it in. But I was really angry and disappointed in the quality a lot. I'm like, this is getting technical here, but a vector file, which is made up of lines and should be able to be blown up really big and never have any distortion. But like there's pixels and squares on here and it looks like garbage when it gets 10 feet tall. Like that can't even be. How is that happening? So I was super frustrated with the output of the things that I was designing. And so I was like, I can't stand that. And then just kind of fate of different things that landed at the same time. A couple in Glendive had built like a disposal site for oil field things, and it was the first of its kind anywhere near the North Dakota, Montana oil field area, other than Denver. Like that was the next closest. And so they had come into a lot of money, and they donated a lot of that money back to the community. They built a state-of-the-art track, Olympic grade track, and put in a turf field in Glendive. And so they were going to have a lot of signage and whatever for that. And so they're like, you should really, get one of those printers. And I'm like, oh yeah, right. And I did. And so it kind of just moved from there, is like, then I could control all parts of that. And so and the other thing is like, people don't know where I need a sign, I need business cards, I need all of these things. And I'm kind of like the start of that. And so I handle all of those parts of things. The one that I haven't totally gotten into yet is, website design, because I think that's a whole beast of its own.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can help you with like some of the pieces and the artwork that you might need for it. But really the design is this whole other monster that I don't have time to learn, and a lot of interest, because some of it's a lot of like letters and numbers. Yeah. Coding type stuff that is puts my brain into like a mesmerized, I don't know what to do right now. Mm-hmm. But I like to take away, like, you can come to me and I can get you business cards. I can get you a logo. I can get you a sign. I can get you brochures. Like I can even find you t-shirts and hats and whatever, and all of these things. And you just have to work with me.
Yeah.
You don't have to go find all of those different printers that do all of those different things. I will do all of that. That's really cool. That's kind of how it blossomed into a production side of things.
Mm-hmm. So you've done some cool projects, because we kind of talked that you've wrapped vehicles. You've done some projects in elementary schools. What would you say is like one of your favorite projects you've ever got to work on?
I have a few favorites.
You can list them. You can list the few.
Yeah, let's hear them.
I love doing the school thing. That's super fun and super rewarding. And so I've done some of like the sensory floors in a couple different schools, Metal Arc, St. Francis, and Central Heights. All have some of the sensory floors. I actually am doing another. Metal Arc loves theirs so much, and it's lasted so well. So we're doing another section of the school this summer. And
what is that for those listening that maybe
sensory
don't know?
Paths.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not an occupational therapist, so they're not really done like with so much of that in mind. But a lot of kids have, young kids especially, have the wiggles and whatever when they come in. And so the principal tells me all the time, she's like, the kids just love this, and they take the long way around so they can go through. So in the kindergarten hallway, for instance, we have, so they tell me like what they're working on those grades. Like we have sight words, and we have numbers 1 through 20 and different things like that. And so I take all of those things and I kind of put them into pieces on the floor. So there's flowers, and there's like a flower that has leaves, and then you see like the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so like the big flower at the bottom is 10. And so they can like step on those.
Fun.
And so it's like interactive, get the wiggles out, but they're also like seeing and recognizing those things over and over and over again.
And they're probably counting as they do it too.
Yep.
Like 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4.
Yeah. So there's like footpaths, and you do different things like that. We actually did their playground. A bunch of volunteers got together over the summer, and I had created some stencils and kind of sketched things out with chalk, and everybody painted and put it on, and the kids love that. And so there's like yoga pose stations, and she's like,
Cool.
it's just so amazing to like look out there, and there's these kids like doing
That's
the
so
different
cool.
yoga
Doing yoga.
poses.
That's
yeah,
so cool.
out at the playground. So I just kind of, they tell me, you know, we want to incorporate these different things. And so I just try to figure out a way to make it somewhat interactive. And like I said, there is a science to this. Occupational therapists especially work with this for kids with sensory issues and stuff like that. I don't know enough about that. So mine are more visual than probably sensory and stuff like that. But they do have a little bit of a, you know, outlet for some of their energy that they can get rid of. And, you know, if they're having trouble sitting still in the class, the teacher's like, why don't you go take 3 minutes out in the hallway and then come back in? And usually it's enough to settle them down. So
That's really cool. I had no idea that that the schools had that or did that. So I think that that's just so cool.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
cool.
I like stalk Jen on Facebook.
I know,
So
I'm
I
like,
see all
that's
her
what-
cool
you're like,
projects
let's
all the
go.
time. I'm like, that's fun.
I know. And it's so bad anymore. It's busy enough that I don't even have time to like post a lot of the things that I have worked on. Another elementary school, I haven't done the floor in there, but I did a mural in the entryway.
I
and
think
it
I
was
saw that
Boulder.
one. Yeah.
And that, I just like reposted. I just
Okay.
found that they posted it like
Because I'm
forever
like,
ago.
I feel like I've seen that somewhere.
Yep. That one I actually did just share that one. And the kids at the school had come up with mascots for the different grades, and they used AI to create their mascot. And they're like, well, we have these mascots. This hallway is just so dull and drab, like the colors, there's no color here and whatever. And how could we incorporate these mascots into something on the wall to like make it more appealing for the kids to walk in? And I was like, what if we did like the different habitats of these mascots? Because they have a wolf, a lion, a bear, and a pony, I think are the 4. And then they have their bulldog is their mascot for the school. And so I did like a jungle scene that and then I just kind of melded those different scenes together and put those mascots in there. And they said the kids just love it. They take pictures by it. They think it's so cool. And they actually just reached out to me yesterday, and they want to do something in their gym because everybody just loves it so much. And
Which is so
bring
cool.
in
And
that
it's
break.
like, they can maybe have some ownership to something that they created and designed. And now they're like, well, look at it. It's its own habitat. And this is our lion or our pony or whatever whatever their mascot is.
Yep.
That's really
It's
creative.
also getting them really excited about the arts and creativity. And I think that, I mean, in itself that's what keeps us young, is keeping our creative juices going.
Yeah. And really like that was something that I thought about, or I think about now versus back then. Like you don't realize how prevalent and ever running graphic design is. Like it's in everything. It's in newsletters. It's, you know, sometimes it's not good, but like, if you think about it, like which would you rather look at? Something that's well done or something that looks like you put together and, what was it? Paint. Remember that program?
Clip art, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it really is in a lot of things that you look at every day. Packaging, it's everywhere. And so you kind of find, you know, your niche. And that's another thing is when people come to me and they are looking for this, that, or the other thing. I'm like, well, I encourage you to go look at my website, go look at the projects that I have done, because I definitely have a certain style and it may not be what you're looking for. And if it is, awesome. If it's not, that's awesome too. Like that's okay. Because every artist has their style and there's nothing right or wrong about that. It's just like, does this fit together with the two businesses? So,
Which I think that's like a lot of things, right? Like we kind of gravitate towards the style the person, or maybe it's the hospital, or maybe it's a dental office, or Target or Walmart, you know what I mean? Like, it's just different. Those are maybe bad examples, but kind of like where we find that person that we're like, yeah, we want to work with them. Yeah. We'll go there.
And I say this probably all the time, but I think it's super important to know that not everybody's your client. And it's okay to say, hey, if my style is not for you, or this isn't going to be like a good partnership, it's okay. Yeah. Because they're somebody else's client. And that's fine.
Yeah. And there's enough to go around. There's plenty, like I said, it's everywhere. And so you're definitely going to find, and maybe someone just loves like building newspaper layouts and stuff like that. I love doing a million different things like that. So suits my personality, and that keeps me like engaged and excited about the next project that I have no idea what it might be and stuff like that. I think there's enough to go around, and there's people that will fit each different style.
So Absolutely. Are you a solo, or because you have a lot, so you're designing and then you're doing the production side of it too? Is that an all, Jen does all, or do you have some help?
I was solo for a long time. My sister she moved up shortly after COVID. She was in the medical field and working full time in the Denver area. And I was busy enough to need help. But not like, I really don't want to expand much more than me. I don't want to end up being a boss. I love what I do. And so I want to be able to continue to do that. And so she works part-time for me and has since 2021, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so she helps with a lot of the production and installation, more installation and stuff now. And then sometimes I have my kids help me with little things here and there, which I think is good for them to see too. Cause a lot are like, you work all the time. I know. You must have a lot of money. Don't we wish? That's how it always correlated, but yeah.
That is one of the biggest myths, is that small business owners are just raking in the money.
I wish I had like $1 million for every minute that I worked, but that's not how it always plays out. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well, you've been a business owner for a really long time. You said 2016, right? Was kind of when, or
2010 is technically like when I really started, freelancing. That was kind of my main gig. And then 2014 is when I really branched out.
Yeah. So a long time, like decades. No, decade.
We're coming up on
two
soon.
Yeah. 2 decades. Yeah. So a really long time. What are some obstacles that you experience as a business owner, and how did you overcome some of those?
Well, definitely, like I said, the moving and like finding clientele, or like a big fear that you have. But I have just like been in a position where it really didn't matter. Like, I knew I was going to have no money basically either way. And so it just didn't matter. It was just like, grind it out, find what you can find. I think that's a hurdle. A lot of people, like, if they're teetering, I have a full-time job, but I really want to do this, and I really like think this could be a business. It's hard to go from a steady paycheck, I know it's coming, there's no question, to I don't know when I might get another job, or what that might be and what that might look like. And so for me, it was a little easier just because, like I said, it was starting from the bottom up. And so like any money coming in was awesome, and I'll just figure it out. Mm-hmm. And another thing I think is like where to find the work, or how to find the work. I haven't had a lot of trouble, or where I've been like, I really need work, so maybe I should take out an ad or run a sale of sorts and stuff like that. Word of mouth has been probably the best thing for my business to begin with. And it just kind of grew from there. The next like hurdle that I had was growth or no growth. I've had a few people be like, well, I would send more business your way, but like, it's going to take too long. Like, they need stuff now. And I get that too. You need it when you want it, and you don't have 6 weeks or whatever if you have to wait for me, because I'm in the middle of different projects. And like I said, I'm doing from start to finish. I'm involved from every piece of that. So obviously, like, that's going to take a majority of my time until it's done, and then I can move on to another project. So do I want to hire somebody and expand the business and move into that? And I have just tried to like, what will that look like if I did that? And I really don't think that's something that I want. If my kids are interested and they wanted to work for me, my niece worked for me for a while when she was living here. That's awesome. But, and maybe someday they'd want to take it over or something like that. I don't know, but I don't really want to like have job interviews and hire somebody and try to train from the ground up at however many times, with turnovers and stuff like that. I just don't want to deal with that. And it's almost like that in of itself would be a few steps backwards, just like in time wise, like you're going to have to slow down for that period while you're trying to teach someone else something and then move back into that. So I was like, we'll just keep it this steady, what I know.
Yeah. And if you're the one that likes to be the one that's designing, I think it's so important to know, like, I don't want to not design and I don't want to not be the one that's doing some of this production, because then as you add team members, you're managing and then you're teaching them to do it. And it's like you're kind of doing some of that less and less of the stuff that you really love and why you did it in the first place, which I think your kids, back to that, are learning such valuable lessons from you as they're helping you do any of those, that like when they're 10, 15 years down the way, like talking about their careers and what they're doing, they're going to reference you all the time. Like, we saw our mom do this and she hustled and she now has this really big business and we helped and we did this. So I think that they're going to have some really good life lessons from that.
And it's fun. Like, if they have been involved in something, they can look like they've helped me with some of the floors in the schools, which I think is important too, because they got to see, they were at Meadowlark and they got to see the kids use it every day. And they're like,
my mom,
I put that sticker down right there. That was me. And that's like huge. And I still, like I said, the baseball signs, like one of those signs was still up in 2016 or 17 from when I was in high school and painted it in like 2001.
So that your quality is what you're saying, that you do really quality work, so they last forever.
Well, I don't know if that sign probably should have lasted long, but it was a really fun experience to go show my kids, like, I did this when I was a high school kid, and it's still here, and that you can make a lasting impact, even doing art that you might not think that people would see or whatever. And then, driving through Glendive, or even here, you can drive through here and see, I did that one. Yeah. I did a valet today, kind of a co-op project with Mars of Billings. And it's the van that has like a big hanger, a lime green hanger on the side.
I've seen it. Yeah.
And like you catch it like with your eye, and then I get to smile a little bit every time I see some of those things, like, cool, I did that.
And it's like design. And I think that we've talked about it, but everything we do, we're impacted by everything visual that we see. We're like, that's how we learn. What we see, what we experience is visually. So having that work that you do, it just takes all of our experiences to the next level.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your kids have the artist itch like you do?
They're definitely artsy fartsy. They're both super smart too.
Wow, like
so
mom.
They could be engineers if they really wanted to. My son is super into cars, so I think I've lost him.
Yeah.
But he has started helping me. He's the age now where he actually can work for real. And it works out good because he does still go back to Glendive every other weekend in summertime and whatever. And so having an actual job or whatever that he had to go work for somebody else would be very difficult with a schedule like that. And so he gets to work with me, and my daughter, haven't lost her yet. She does love animals, so there's a possibility that I could, but she's always said she's wanted to be a vet. But she definitely loves, the art and the projects, and she absolutely has the entrepreneur spirit. She's been making like the clay bead bracelets.
Oh, wow.
And
cool.
so for the group L1 Show, they're good friends of mine. And so I've been doing a lot of their merch design, and they started going plain in Belize. And so I've done these like Hawaiian shirt designs and stuff for that. And she is making bracelets that coordinate with that. And then when I sell the merch for the Belize stuff to the people that are going on the trip and stuff, she's like, and we have these bracelets here.
So
she's been able to like make some sales to that too, which is super exciting for her. And I've, taught her, like, you need to keep track of your, all the money that you spend on the beads and this, and make sure you're pricing according to that. And also like your time that goes into it, but you also need to be aware of like the market. You can't charge $10 when they can buy a bracelet for like $2 somewhere else. You kind of have to be, you don't have to be the cheapest, but you probably shouldn't be the most expensive. And so she's learning those things even at age 12. Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Awesome. And what a fun thing to be part of too, of like, those are things that people, they're like keepsakes. If they're going to Belize to watch El Wencho, which you guys went, right?
Yep.
Like you're keeping that shirt forever. You're keeping that bracelet because it's a memory of that trip.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I'm like, I need to not buy any more clothes because I'm making them all.
You're like designing all this one and that one.
Many t-shirts and different designs. And those have been super fun to come up with too. Cause like this print on demand stuff with dye sublimation, like I make literally floral design button-up shirts, and we've made tennis shoes.
That's
and
so fun.
Different things that I can, there's all these different options of things that I can and do with these designs and create. And so that has led now to another business that's kind of in the infant stages, or maybe it's in the like neonatal stages. Or so we're baby stepping that and trying to figure out like how we can, make that a business, and I'm bringing in another person for that. So that's going to be like a joint venture that's, kind of parallel to what I'm doing, similar, but also like it has its own separate branches too. So that's been super cool and fun to take what I have done for so many years and then branch out even more into some different things. So
that's really exciting. And it was a question we had for you, or like, what are some of those new creative ventures or big goals on the horizon for you?
Yeah,
and it sounds that's one.
Yep. That's probably the biggest one right now. Everything else, like I think about my personal goals and things that I want in life are still very, very important. Like I said, at that point in college, like it wasn't about a career. It was about, my personal life and what I wanted to do in that. So life itself has always been more of a vision to me than like my career goals. It's more like, how can I make the life that I want and, tailor my career to fit with that. And so in that regard, like I love travel and I just want to travel all the time and see the world. And so right now, obviously that's not going to be a thing. I have kids that are in school. We can't travel that much. We can travel when we can, but so my 10-year plan, after they're out of high school, they're off on their own journeys of whatever that might be. What's that going to look like for my life? And I want to travel. And so the business or my businesses need to shift to accommodate that kind of lifestyle. And so obviously like production and stuff, that's not going to happen if I'm not here. And so how do I transition into something for the future of what I really want my life to look like at that point?
I like that. And the travel thing too, which you guys do, but it is hard. I think I don't have kids, but there's only so much you can be gone and pull them out of school.
Yep.
And aligning your businesses, I think, to that, and knowing that you, like for the design stuff, sometimes don't even have to be here.
Yeah. Yep. And so that's a real advantage to like the design part of things is I can take my computer and I can travel and I can do work from the airplane or from the resort down there sitting at the pool and doing that and making that work for you is another just like huge piece that a lot of people I think forget about, which is another reason like I didn't want to expand or add people because that would keep me here. And that's not ultimately what's on my long-sighted view. Yeah.
You want your life. And then I love what you just said of like, you want your businesses to work for you and what you want.
Yeah.
As your kids get older and they graduate and kind of do their own thing, which is really cool. And we like that. So it's been so fun to have you on and hear more of your story. I think we both learned a lot from you. We like to end each episode with a few rapid-ish fire questions after we hear a quick message from a sponsor.
Big thanks to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The SBDC is an incredible resource for small business owners, offering free one-on-one counseling, business plan support, market research, financial projections, and much more. Whether you're just starting out or looking to grow, they're here to help your business succeed. Reach out to us at bigsky economic development.org. welcome back. Hopefully you're ready for your rapid fire questions.
I don't know.
My
Rapid-ish.
rapid-ish. My first question for you is, what is your favorite thing to do in your free time?
Travel. I think we did cover that, but depends. Yeah, it depends on how much free time there actually is. Wait, what is free time?
Yeah.
I don't know. I really love live music and seeing live music with friends. Travel obviously is pretty high on my list. The kids and I enjoy the outdoors and doing things like that. So yeah, just a lot of different things, I guess. But
Yeah. I have a follow-up question. What's one of your favorite places to travel to, or one that that stood out to you? Yeah.
St. Lucia. I don't know why, but that was always like this like dream place for me. I wanted to get there. I finally did get there in 2020, barely, because it was February and then stuff got shut down in March. But
we were in Spain. Yeah.
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 I did barely get there, but I loved it. It's just like, it's like all these different things into one. Like they have like the volcanic activity and they have mountains that you can climb. They have the beaches. Life is slower. I loved that. That actually shaped a lot of things. Like I was super, super busy and really I was at that time, like working nonstop, like through the nights and whatever. And after going on that trip, I was like, I really want my life to slow back down. And I think that's where I really like kind of drew that line of I don't want to get busier or bigger in that way. I just want to, grow a little that I can handle, because I really liked that slower life. But yeah, anywhere. I love the beaches, but I love the mountains too. And so I think that's why I loved St. Lucia's, because it's kind of both of those. Costa Rica was amazing in that regard. We do love Belize. We've been there twice now with them. I was there once on a cruise. My absolute dream vacation or place that I want to go is like French Polynesia, Bora Bora, Tahiti, that
nice.
area. Pretty much anywhere I would, if someone will give it to me, I will take it.
Yep.
But yeah, that is like a dream. Yeah.
In one of those little
Same.
huts.
Yep. Over the water.
Yes.
Yes. With the clear floor so you can see the fish. Yeah. Yeah. I'm all for that, but it needs to be like a 2-week period.
Yeah.
There's no, because it's probably going to take you like
Takes you a minute to get
3
there.
or 4 days to get there and get back. So like that's separate from the 2 weeks that you actually get to stay there. So
There's also a huge time change there.
yeah.
And so that one is where I would say give it 2 weeks for
And if
sure.
you're gonna go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like don't
Yep.
make light of the time.
Yep. Yeah. Live it for a while and then maybe move there. I don't know.
Maybe go there permanently.
That's how I feel about Ireland. I'm like, yeah, I could definitely live there.
That's on our list. We'd love to see Ireland. I think we actually are going to, we have a family trip coming up and we're going to England to see where my grandpa was actually stationed during World War II. They're having a 95th Bomb Group reunion. It's the 80-year reunion. So we'll actually get to see
That's really
where
cool.
he lived, where he ate, where the airplanes took off, and kind of get immersed in some of that. And I think that's going to be such an experience for my kids too.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
That is
powerful.
awesome.
Yeah.
My next question for you is, what advice would you give your younger self?
Man, these are hard.
I'm sorry.
That's why we say
Rapid fire.
rapid-ish.
Yeah.
We had the ish.
I don't know who can come out with that stuff like right on the spot. I don't know. Probably like it's gonna be okay, because I do remember there were some times that are really scary, like thinking there's no way that this is ever gonna work, that you're ever gonna be able to do this, and just keep grinding it out, just keep sticking it out. It's all gonna be good someday. And then really also don't be afraid to take some of those leaps. Like why was I so afraid to even tell my parents I'm gonna switch to graphic design? That was so scary in that moment. Or you don't really have to be afraid of this big move that you're gonna make, and starting over basically is what I felt like I was gonna start over when I moved here and stuff. Like it's all going to work out. It works out the way that it's supposed to work out. Because there have been some instances like that where you have this grand scheme and plan and you think it's going to be so awesome, and then it doesn't work out and you're so devastated. But then a year later, 6 months later, whatever, you're like, thank God that did not work out, because what came instead is so much better. And so, yeah, just don't be afraid.
I like
love
that
that.
insight. It reminds me of what Jason said, like on one of our other episodes. It was along the lines of that, but I think it was like a Chinese proverb or something.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I know
I'll
Jason,
butcher that.
Words.
What?
I
Oh.
do the pictures, not the
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
So my words are
No,
all
I
over the
love
place
how
a
you
lot.
said it. I just think that it's really good. Like sometimes it seems like a really big thing in the moment, but then when you look back on it, you're like, actually, that was for the best.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this other opportunity came out of it. So
Yeah. You're so devastated thinking like my life is over. Like
Yeah.
this, I had this all planned out. I knew exactly like it was all going to be so good. And now it's nothing. And then, you look
maybe it's
back and you're
better.
like,
Yeah.
this is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah. You can make plans all you want, but at the end of the day, the path that you're supposed to be on, you're going to travel. So,
Yeah. And then maybe just don't stay rooted in that and like just obsessive. Like this didn't work out. So how can I fix it so that it does? Just like go with the flow and let things happen and then pivot as you need to pivot and move into that and allow the things to happen as they're going to happen.
I really like that. So Jen, where can people connect with you, find you, website, social, pimp yourself out?
Well, I call my website more of like an online business card because it's pretty static. I had them put in like links or, so it would show my Instagram because I'm like, this is really the only thing I ever even have time to update, but I don't even have time to update some of those. But we're on Facebook and Instagram, both. Deer Creek Design, Facebook.com/Deer Creek Design, and then it's Deer Creek Design Studio on Instagram. Website is deercreekdesign.com. And that's kind of the main.
Cool. So we can find out about your new other thing on that site and maybe your Instagram when it
Not
launches.
yet.
But when it launches,
Yes.
that's where people can maybe be tuned
It
into.
does have Wish in the name. It's two of us. I'll give that. I'll drop that one.
Okay.
It's going to be called Wishbone Worldwide.
Ooh, okay.
I love it.
I like it.
It gives me, what is that song where it goes, listen worldwide, right?
Uh-huh.
It's we're both a little goofy and weird.
No, I
the
think
two
it's
main
fun,
partners
yeah.
of us, and it has to do with like the Belize stuff, like I was talking about. But it's kind of a combination of us two, and then the worldwide thing is just hilarious. Actually, how I came up with that. We was going to be Enterprises, Wishbone Enterprises, and we were watching Step Brothers, and they were like talking about their company. I can't remember the first part of it, but worldwide, and I'm like, that's what we should be, worldwide.
Oh, that's so good.
And then it works with the W, so it's like WW.
Yeah.
And some
Worldwide.
that alliteration, whatever. It's super fun. Yeah,
That's really
Wishbone
fun.
worldwide.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see more on that.
Yes, it's going to be a really cool opportunity for them, and I'm really excited. So thank you so much for coming on,
thank you guys.
sharing your business journey, and kind of talking some small business owners through what it might look like to be a graphic designer.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.